All right, welcome back to the $1 million Tipping Point podcast. Today we've got Kristin Ostrander, which is going to be a fun interview because this is actually, believe it or not, the first time I've had someone in the e-commerce business. So it's going to be a little bit of a new one for me because I'm not completely knowledgeable about this. So you're going to have to fill me in a lot. So thank you for being on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm just stoked to be here and talk all e-commerce.
Yes. All right. As a reminder for our audience, we are brought to you by the Tipping Jar of Wisdom, where as a subscriber, you get access to exclusive content from our guests every Thursday straight to your inbox. And there will be actionable tasks in there that will help you grow your business. If you're not a member yet, please head over, connect with me on Instagram at virtually Kiri or LinkedIn, Kiri Mohan, and sign up through my bio. And please share the podcast. Tag me. We love shares, and we will definitely respond when you do. All right, here we go. Kristin Ostrander is the creator of mommyincome.com and host of the Amazon Files podcast. She is a dynamic Amazon selling mom who dedicates her energy to helping others start and scale businesses on Amazon using her signature wholesale bundle system. With a unique wholesale bundling approach to Amazon backed by $1 million wholesale bundle framework, she and her students have generated over $20 million in online bundle sales in the past 5 years. With 2 decades of e-commerce experience, Kristin is the down-to-earth Amazon expert you are looking for. She is a fellow seller in the trenches with her students and is fully equipped to teach the necessary skills online sellers need to create long-term sustainable income on Amazon and beyond. So again, welcome. This is going to be fun.
For sure. I'm excited.
So this is based on this, you say you're still in the trenches with your students. So you do not just teach students anymore. You're still selling on Amazon as a source of income.
I am. Yes, I started selling on e-commerce like back in 2003, started with eBay, moved to Amazon in 2008, and I'm still a seller to this day. So that's a lot of teachers end up giving up their regular business and going into teaching or educating, and that's all great, but then you're not up with the times. And I really feel like it's important for me to be with my students where they're at, where they're struggling, so that I can help them legitimately.
So does this change a lot, the way you sell on Amazon and the techniques? Is this something that's constantly changing? Is that why you need to be there in the trenches?
Absolutely. So Amazon is just a constant revolving door. And with e-commerce, it is the largest global platform in the world. And if you have a product, you for sure should be selling on Amazon. But there's a lot of moving parts and pieces when you're talking about inventory-based businesses, and e-commerce and selling on multiple channels. Using Amazon can get really, it's like you said, it's not complicated, but it's simple. It can be simple, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's super easy to do. It just means there's a lot of steps. And so having someone on your side, knowing all the different answers to different things as they change policies, is really, really helpful to have an advocate that's there with you.
We were talking a little bit about this off air, and one of the reasons why I am excited about this is because I'm sure my audience gets this too, but I'll be on Instagram and I get this ad that looks so appealing. And the last one I'm thinking of actually that made me click was a girl in Greece or Italy walking down the steps in a free flowing little chiffon beach garb and saying, you can sell these Amazon products and they're great and you'll be able to work from anywhere. And usually I don't get pulled into those because I know as a business owner, like, oh, come on, it takes a while. This is not something that you just click the ad and you learn everything and it's magic and you're working from the beach. But I know that like you can get to that point. How long does it usually take after you set the foundations in your business?
I think it really depends on the education and the business model. There are multiple business models on Amazon specifically. You have everything from KDP and printing your own print-on-demand books to selling, like a company like Nike who sells all of their items on Amazon. And then there's things like retail arbitrage where people are buying stuff from the clearance section at Walmart and sending it to Amazon's FBA fulfillment centers. So it really depends on the investment that you make in the beginning of if you're taking it seriously, if you're following a step-by-step process. But it's actually true. Like you can actually build a business that then you can work from anywhere. My mom and I are a team. She's actually my 50% partner in my Amazon store. And half of the year she works as a snowbird. We live in Southeast Michigan right now, and it's crazy winter weather. So she flies to Florida and different places to visit family, and she does all of her work from there. And I do my work from here. And we don't really touch our inventory. We're not drop shippers. We actually just use a third party prep facility that actually takes all of our inventory that we order, wholesale products and the like, from multiple places, stateside and internationally we order. And all of those items are shipped to a third party fulfillment center, which then are shipped to Amazon. And as you are buying something on Prime, I might be sitting on the beach. So it actually is real, but you definitely have to spend some time building the foundations of your business. And, you know, I would say the average is 20 to 30 hours a week that you're going to put. I mean, it's a real business, but after you have a team and things put in place, it's absolutely possible to live that life.
So you briefly touched on what this business model is and what it works. Can you go into it a little bit more for our audience who has never heard about Amazon fulfillment?
Absolutely.
Fulfillment by Amazon. Like even I'm like struggling because I'm not in this world at all. Please just go into as like a typical what this looks like and how people make money.
For sure. So fulfillment by Amazon is, if you shop on Amazon, chances are you might have bought something from me or something from your neighbor or something from somebody across the country that you had no idea, because you're just browsing on Amazon as a customer and you're saying, oh, I need an HDMI cord, and you add it to the cart and you get it in 2 days. But what most people don't notice is that when you scroll down a little bit on that listing, you'll see sold and shipped by so and so. So you'll see either it'll say sold and shipped by Amazon. That would mean that Amazon themselves is selling you a product. It's not a small business. But over 50 to 60% at this point, I think I need new numbers for 2023, but in 2022, it was 52% of the business done on Amazon is from third-party sellers, meaning small business owners, people like me, people like your neighbor, people that are doing, selling items on Amazon. And the fulfillment center is this. In order for Amazon to give you your Amazon Prime 2-day shipping, is that us as the small business owners have to send our inventory into Amazon's fulfillment centers. Then they take that, they categorize it, they package it to ship to someone like you. So if you order your HDMI cord and you get it in 2 days, my team or I or my prep facility has packaged that, shipped it to Amazon, and then Amazon redistributes it in a very logistical way that gets you your 2-day free shipping. So most people are unaware when they're buying e-commerce specifically from Amazon that 9 out of 10 times they're buying from a small business just like mine. So for those of you guys who are buying on Amazon, thank you. You're not just supporting big bad Amazon like everyone thinks. You're actually, putting food on my table and paying my mortgage. So please continue to buy on Amazon, and notice when you see brands like sold and shipped by so-and-so store or, something like that, you'll see that most items are third party. So we don't ship directly to customers. Amazon does that. We have a warehouse, or a lot of my clients are doing this from their own home, and they're having the products, they import, or they're purchasing from wholesale suppliers in the US, and they're pre-packaging their items and sending them off to Amazon, and Amazon sending the orders. So that's kind of how the fulfillment by Amazon process works. You don't have to deal with individual customers. As a matter of fact, Amazon never wants you to. They handle all the customer service. You handle supplying inventory.
So do you have to handle all the copy on the page then? Like, is that all written by you or like whoever the third party is to try to get someone like interested in buying it from you?
Yeah, so I'll go back to the HDMI cord example. So someone writes the listing at some point. Then say if you came along and you found the same HDMI cord at the same wholesale supplier that I'm buying it from, you could say, oh, I can add that. You could list it without having to rewrite all of the listings. Not every single HDMI cord has its own product page. But yes, the seller is responsible for writing the product page. It would be similar to a listing maybe on eBay or Poshmark or even your own Shopify store. AI is a really helpful tool to be able to do that as well, to try to help get the language that the customers are using there. But yes, once you write your listing, it stays up there, people buy it, and then Amazon ships it to them. And there's just a little bit of back end work that you have to do for that. But individual orders, like right now, I could check my email and it could say, they've shipped 10 items while we're talking, and I don't have to do any of that. Once I do the front end work of getting all the inventory shipped into Amazon, they do the rest.
I've never done this before, but I'm actually going to go to my Amazon cart right now and see if obviously I never go on my phone when I'm on a podcast interview, but I know I have something in there. So now I'm curious.
That is so fun. I love it too. I even tell people looking at their phones, like, hey, go look at the last 5 things that you bought on Amazon, and probably probably 4 out of 5 of those are from a third party small business. And I really want people to understand that too, is that a lot of people lately have just looked at Amazon as this like big bad big brother that's trying to take over the
Yes.
world, and
Yes.
they're shutting down small businesses, when actually, if it wasn't for Amazon, someone like me probably would have never gotten a shop off of the ground. I would never have been able to have access to like literally millions of global purchasing power that you have with Amazon. Not only is it Amazon.com, but they also offer your products globally as well if you choose to
Mm.
do that. And so now I have customers in Spain, I have customers in Germany, I have customers in Japan because of the global system. So, because of their platform, a small business like mine is able to tip over $1 million, to where if I had a local boutique, I'm really only subject to whoever's coming across my lawn.
Mm. This is interesting. So I have a kitchen compost bin from Full Circle Store. So
Mm-hmm.
now Full Circle Home is what store is what it's called. Okay, interesting. I have no idea if they're a brand or not, but that's really interesting. Now I'm going to start looking at these more closely because I know for one thing, a long time ago, when cell phones you used to be able to take the battery out and put a new battery in, so you wouldn't have to like charge it all the time. I remember once getting something from a third party and I hadn't read the reviews, and people were like, "This is not from Samsung. Do not buy from them. It's not as good. The battery doesn't last as long." And then, of course, the battery leaked or something like that. And I looked at the reviews. So then that kind of leads me to like, how do you deal with that with the reviews that people have?
Mm.
And how do you teach your students to deal with bad reviews? Because they're everything on Amazon, right? Like, I don't know how many, I will click on something and the next thing I click is review. I don't even read the copy. I'm just
Mm.
like, what do the reviews say?
Mm, that's an interesting perspective from a customer. I love hearing that. The reality is, I tell them not to sell junk. First of all, like there are millions of products out there, and there are ways to test and read reviews yourself as a seller before you offer products that you're selling. Because honestly, there's a lot of junk out there, and people just want to sell a few things here and there. They don't care if one battery leaks, if they get 8 offers. But honestly, let's realize that with Amazon, they're very generous about their return policy. So it's really, really important as sellers to pick high quality items that people aren't going to return on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, Amazon will ding you for that. If you get too many negative reviews or too many returns on a specific product, they will pull your product from their digital shelf. They
Oh,
say, you cannot offer this that's had 10 out of 11. If you have 10 sales and 8 out of the 10 are refunded or reviewed, they will, not negative reviews necessarily, but they're returned, they'll say, I'm sorry, you can't sell this. Obviously, it's bad quality. So they do
mm,
have some policies in place that help you with that. I try to train my people. We're not just buying, like the wholesale bundle system. What I teach is a unique business model. So if you ever heard of subscription boxes, which most people have, I teach a similar style on Amazon because honestly, I've tried all of the business models on Amazon, and not all of them are as profitable as people say they are. And the more and more people are coming online, learning about how simple it is to start with FBA, there's more product saturation and things like that in certain categories. So I've created my own business model, which is called wholesale bundling. It's where you take wholesale products and or your own private label products, combine them into what I would consider like a subscription box style, a specific theme or a specific gift set or accessory pack, and offer those items bundled together. Because with Amazon's global platform, they also charge a significant amount to sell on their platform. So they're talking about 30% fees or so when all is said and done. But that actually pays for so much. Number one, you never have to market when your stuff's on Amazon because everybody shops on Amazon. You don't have to tell
mm.
them. You just say, hey, go find my thing on Amazon, and they will. And so you're paying for that, you're paying for shipping, you're paying for warehousing because they're taking care of all of that 2-day free shipping that you could not possibly offer if you had just a Shopify store. You couldn't get something from Michigan to California in 2 days unless you paid a lot of money. So Amazon is really good for helping with those. But with those fees, you have to make sure you're selling good quality products because you can go in a negative margin really quickly if all your stuff's returned. So picking high quality stuff and picking a combination of products is really the most important thing because you can keep more meat on the bone profitable wise for yourself, and your customers appreciate that when they say Mother's Day spa gift set where they has 4 or 5
Mm.
different things. You can send it right to your mother from Amazon. There's no subscription, so you don't have to keep sending something over and over again, and you can sell that to millions of people at the same time. So it really is that model style that helps both the customer and the seller maximize their purchase there.
I love the new baby boxes. Those are like my favorite, like when they have like a little toy and a onesie and lotion and bath stuff and it's all in one thing. It's like perfect. It's like you thought
Yes.
of everything. All the boxes are checked, and I've used that before. I mean,
Mhm.
Amazon for new baby bundles for sure, and then Get Well stuff is another thing I've used and gotten those bundles
Yeah,
done.
and those ones are the ones that's the style of model I teach by putting things like that together. As a matter of fact, one of my case studies for my top program that I have is about a Get Well gift and how a lady put one of those together, and she did so well with these kits that we were, and this is the model that we teach. So that's funny that you mentioned Get Well, because I'm like, maybe it was hers that you bought, but it's something that we do teach there to kind of show people that single unit items are fine and you can still make money on that, but it's more of a Walmart mentality where you're like making more on like high volume, very low margins, to where my business model is more of when we combine products together in a way that the customer, like you said, appreciates this baby gift in a box type thing. They'll pay a little bit more and you will have a lot more profit combining products together because you only have one fee per transaction, versus if you're selling all those baby things individually, you get fees for each one, your margin goes down, and it becomes a volume game rather than selling really good quality products. You don't have to sell millions of products to make millions of dollars. You can, I only have 150 SKUs in my store. I have 150 total products.
Mm. So you have, going to your business, a wholesale bundle, and you also have Start FBA Today, right? Fulfillment by Amazon, which is FBA.
Yes.
Those are your two courses that you teach, nothing else?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, our new wholesale bundle system 3.0 just came out in 2023, and now it includes that Start FBA Today. So every single thing you need, like if you said, I've never sold on Amazon before, but I am in and I want to try it, the wholesale bundle system covers everything from I've never sold anything to I'm a $10 million seller and I want to try your strategy, because our strategy is for anybody, whether you're starting or whether you've had a business for 10 years, because it teaches a very unique style of earning more money on Amazon. So it's from A to Z. We do have the Start FBA Today program, but now it's included in the wholesale bundle system 3.0.
Your students, are most of them experienced sellers or are most of them starting out?
I bet it's about 50-50 at this point. When we first began, it was more of people just starting out, but now we're having a lot of advanced sellers coming to us saying, I want to diversify. I want to add another, I have a private label product and I'm just, I'm trying to figure out creative ways to make more with that. And so I've been consulting with people, helping them with their private label brands, figure out how to make the best wholesale bundles for them to sell to their customers as well. So the sky's the limit when it comes to different products and different stages of business, depending on where you're at.
Let's talk a little bit about how you structure these courses. So do you have the course that someone can take on their own time? Do you have rolling admission? Is it, because I interview a lot of women who have these types of programs at consult, teach, coach. Do you have like cohorts that people have to join? Do you have coaching calls within there? Explain to us a little bit about the details of how you structure this teaching business.
Sure. So the course is structured, and this is obviously 3.0 version. So we started out with the 1.0, just kind of starting it out there. This is all pre-recorded and it's broken down into modules. So it is at your own pace, at your own time. It's not dripped content. Once you pay and you're in, you have it lifetime updates and you can watch it at your own pace. For the 3.0 version this year that we released, we do not have anything that's live. We do have a group coaching calls once a month for those who join our membership program. Along with that, it's for students only, so everyone must pre-qualify by going through the course before they can get into the membership, and that's where we do extensive trainings. I do more live in the group coaching than anything else. We'll do bundle reviews, we do live research progresses and different things like that. So once you're inside, you get all of the things, and it's actually over 50 hours of step-by-step video with templates and checklists and everything else. It qualifies for college credit. We made sure that this year, like they said, it's part of it's so the curriculum qualifies for a college credit hour because of the length and of the details that people will learn and walk away from. So it's not intensive, but it's very comprehensive, very step by step. Hey, take these steps before you move to the next one. It's also organized in a way to where if you came in and you're like, I'm not a beginner, but I really want to know about the trademarking part or creating my Amazon brand, then you can go to that module. But for the most part, it's really a good step by step video module. We also have transcripts as well.
Okay. That's great. So you're saying that like you take the people who are part of the membership and the group coaching are those that have taken the course and have completed it.
Maybe not necessarily
Or
competed, but have signed up and have they have to at least be enrolled in the class, but it's not
okay.
a live thing. They don't have to have completed it, because a lot of people have questions right at the beginning. So we want to make
Mm,
sure that everyone that has questions has access. And so I do one-on-one coaching, but I prefer the group coaching because a lot of people can benefit from one person's question. You
mhm.
oftentimes have multiple questions, and when the group is asking, everyone gets all the answers at the same time. And so it really is actually a more benefit to the students to have them come to the group coaching calls.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Sure.
So you said you started, I want to kind of backtrack a little bit. You said you started at eBay, right? Selling on eBay. How did that work? And how did that lead to Amazon? I read somewhere that your husband was in construction and was injured and couldn't work. So that's kind of what took you down this route to see if you could make some more money for your family.
Yeah, so in the beginning, we were married very young, high school sweethearts, and had a baby a year later. And so we were kind of, his commercial construction in Michigan is a lot like feast or famine. It's like you're either working like 80 hours a week and you're never really sleeping, or you're laid off and there's nothing. And so that's kind of always been our life. And wanting to stay home with my children when I was young, I had to find some way to make money that wasn't like, I mean, I'm not trying to offend anyone here, but like I didn't want to do like Mary Kay sales or things
Mm,
like that. That just wasn't my thing. And at the time, let's just be real that it was 20 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot of work from home opportunities, really. So I took to selling on eBay. I was buying from eBay at the time. We just had a really frugal, simple life at the time, two young kids having kids. And I was a buyer on eBay for different things, like my daughter's Easter dress that they only wear one time and they'll never
yes.
wear again. And they're, hundreds of dollars or something. So I used to do that. I used to buy the dress, have her wear it the one time for the pictures, and resell it for whatever I could get it for. And I realized quickly that that was actually putting more money in our pockets than I thought. So I used to just do it like a trade, like buy a dress, sell the dress to get a new dress. And so then I was like, oh, I could really make money. So I started with that. And then as Amazon came to play, because that was early on, that was 2003. And Amazon really didn't make a huge debut with third-party sellers until a little bit later. And when they did, I started with books there, then moved into wholesale, and a couple of different journeys in between. I have a couple of my own brands and products that I have created and released over time. So that's kind of the journey. I actually still sell on eBay. I have a treasure hunter heart. I can't help but go hunt for the treasures that are valuable, but that's just now on the side because I have time to do that now. It's not really for the money. It's more of the thrill of the hunt. So my business takes care of that on Amazon, and with my eBay store, it's just a little bit more of a hobby.
Mm. I remember around that time, what's it, 2003? Yeah, probably around 2003. Because that's around when Pirates of the Caribbean came out.
Mm.
I wanted to be a pirate for Halloween. And I wanted, like, I'm very big into cosplay. So when I want to be something, it has to be legit, right? And
Yes.
so I found my whole costume on eBay. Like, I found a really cool vest that looked like a worn pirate's vest. I had these pants, these boots, everything was, I think the bandana, actually, I bought that nearby, but like everything else was just like legit. And that was like this experience I had with eBay. And I think I used to go to run fairs a lot. And I think I bought my medieval sword on eBay too. I'm not sure how they shipped that, come to think of it, but I'm pretty sure I bought it on eBay. I
I've
bought the
still
medieval
bought and
sword.
sold so many things on eBay. Like you said, a sword. Yeah, we've bought and sold guitars and like literally chairs and pieces of furniture. I mean, people will pay. You'd be so surprised what people will pay for shipping to get something that they really want.
Yes.
So I'm like, hey, if you're covering it, it does no difference to me if I have to. I mean, we call it Frankenbox when you have to like box something up that like doesn't really have a box. And what are you supposed to do with it? So you just take a bunch of cardboard and a bunch of tape and hope for the best and bubble wrap. I haven't never had anything arrive broken. I am really vigilant about when I do that things, but it's rare now. I actually sell, I collect and sell and redistribute costume jewelry on eBay now. So we're talking small
Cool.
packages now. No more Franken boxes for me.
My daughter loves costume jewelry. That's like some of her favorite thing. The more glitzy and glamorous it is, the more she loves it. And she's 7. So
Mm.
that's why. So how long did it take you when we're looking at 2003 is when you started being like, okay, I can start really doing this and we're making money. How long did it take for you to get to a point where you felt like, oh my gosh, I really know what I'm doing and I'm making good money, whatever that means for you?
Mm.
How long did it take to get there?
Wow. Well, there's a lot of journey involved in that question, so I'll kind of skip all the real details. But got real serious about Amazon in 2009, and then it's 2010 is when my husband actually got injured from work, and because of that we got super serious about the business, because at that time it was our only income. He didn't qualify for workers comp, which a lot of people think when you get injured at work it's just, oh, comp will write you a check and you can just, wait. That wasn't our story, and we ended up losing our home to foreclosure. And then in 2011, as I was really ramping up my Amazon business to the point where I thought this could really support us as a family, I took on a partner, and unfortunately that partner was shady and they embezzled all of my money down to $1,100, and I had six figures at that point. So all that to say, we had to start all over with just pretty much nothing, and it was my mom and I, and that was 2014. And so between 2014 and then 2017 is really when we got to the $1 million mark. We had already had all of our knowledge at that point, but someone stole our funds. And so with all of that rigmarole, we were able to start over. We did our wholesale bundles, and it took about that long to kind of get feet from under you. I think a lot of it now, I had to find a way. I had to find and make my way. There wasn't a ton of training out there. There was some, and there definitely wasn't a lot of women teaching anything. Not that that's here nor there, but it was sometimes that relatable sense of, I had a lot of men teaching that were like, hey, this is just my full-time job. I'm teaching Amazon. I'm making money. And I'm like, I'm over here wrangling three children and trying to make this money on my own. So I really felt the need to have a female voice out there kind of teaching. And I was invited to a show in 2014. They're like, hey, they saw me in a Facebook group. I was answering questions, helping people. And they're like, can you come on our show? And I was like, well, sure, why not? So they asked me a bunch of Amazon questions. I was able to help, and I had no idea I had the gift for teaching at that time. It was just my first ever interview on TV, on a live stream like this. And I thought to myself, someone reached out and they're like, we want to hear more from you. Do you have a show? Are you going to be on any other podcast anytime soon? How do we reach out? How do we get more from you? And it just got me thinking, maybe I should start my own show and just give people this information. And maybe there's an opportunity to monetize that at some point. And so for a year, I started my own show. I did a weekly, every single week. I did a show regardless of 2 people came or 50 people came. I did a live and Q&A kind of thing. I had a topic, and a year later I got my first coaching client officially paid. I started I taught a class, and then kind of fast forward to where we are now in Mommy Income. That's really when I got my start teaching.
Wow. So you said like there's 50 hours in your 3.0 of the wholesale bundle. How long did that take you to record and put together?
7 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 months and a team of 4. Yes, it's a lot of work. To be honest, with Amazon, they change things so frequently that from the 2.0 version to the 3.0 version, I wanted to make sure I could easily swap out videos that no longer applied to the curriculum. So I want to make sure, as Amazon updates policies, I want to stay in the know. I want my students to have all the current information. That's why I give lifetime updates, because Amazon today will say this thing, and then they'll give you a 30-day notice that they're changing something 3 months from now. And so you just have to adapt. If you want to play on their playground, you have to play by their rules. And we don't always love their rules, but we love their playground. So that's where I'm making the millions of dollars. And so I will comply to the policies. But then I make sure I make a new video to replace something older that was there. So creating the curriculum that I had previously, adding some things. I do a lot of student surveys. I get on the phone, I get on Zoom with a lot of my students and ask them, what are your struggles right now? What are you facing right now? How can I help you right now? And so then we go through that and we add things to the curriculum. Sometimes I just add a 2-minute video that literally can be a lifesaver for someone. And it's all usually behind the curtain of that. It's a potential to make millions of dollars. And because of that, the training needs to be precise and it needs to be accurate. It needs to come from someone that understands and knows. And because of that, we like to hide most of the stuff behind the curtain for people that are really investing in themselves and want to make a legitimate business. It's not, Amazon could be a side hustle, but and some people call it that, oh, just go to the store and buy a few things and put them on yourself. But it should be set up and maintained as a legitimate business. They will send you a 1099. They will calculate everything you owe and the state taxes and the things like that. It's done automatically through Amazon's system, but people need to really understand it's a legitimate business. It doesn't cost a ton to start, but education and a big foundation is really important.
You mentioned your team a few times and how much they help you and how much you're able to get done because of them. What does your team look like right now?
So my Amazon team, as far as my Amazon store is concerned, it's my mother and I. We have a VA, and then we use a warehouse facility. It's not ours. It's a third-party warehouse that we pay them to be able to receive and ship outbound to Amazon. So that's my Amazon store side. There's just really two of us, and then I'd say two and a half because my VA really only works about 5 hours a week, but it's perfect for what we need. And then my mommy income team, as far as teaching and training, there's 5 of us. And so we have a well-oiled machine here. We all have different moving parts and pieces, but without the team, it's not possible. You can only be one human.
Do you have any advice for people trying to grow a team right now? How do you make sure you hire for the right fit for you?
You have to be really clear about what you want. Really, really clear about what your needs are and what you want. Just because you can do all the things does not mean that you should. There's other people, to be honest, and this is going to be ego bruising for some people, but guess what? You're not perfect at everything. But there are people that are better at certain things than you are. And those are the people you want on your team. And so if the people are struggling to hire, what I would say first is, number one, you don't have to have, my biggest panic at one point was like, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to pay someone 40 hours a week and have enough for them to do? The reality is you don't. There's so many freelancers out there right now that if you just need 5 hours a week from someone, that's absolutely possible to do. But get really clear about what you need and what you want. I like the magic wand, what is it, metaphor or whatever, is if you could wave a magic wand and get one thing in your business right now, what would that be? That's where you need to hire first. The things that you hate, hate the most, there's someone that loves doing those things. That's what I've discovered, is that the things that I hate to do, like accounting and paperwork and filing and data analytics and things like that, there are people that are like, ooh, let me do that. And I'm like, no, please don't make me do that. So always remembering that there's someone out there that really enjoys and loves to do the things that you don't. And those are the people you hire first.
That's good. I like that. Thank you. Do you have any kind of tests that you put them through or anything like that when they come on board, or to not when they come on board, but more like before you decide if you're going to hire them?
Yeah, well, this is where you can get in trouble with like HR stuff, which I actually just remembered. A lot of entrepreneurs don't always know like true HR rules and what you're supposed to ask and what you're not supposed to ask in certain interviews. But what my main advice when it comes to hiring, which I was terrified to do, by the way, just putting it out there for those that are like, I haven't had my first hire, or I've had a hire, I've had nightmares, like I was scared to death because I was just like, how am I going to pay them? Is it going to be okay? What if it's not? Just all the what ifs, right? But I think the most important thing is that skills can always be trained, but character is so much more important than skills. You can't train character. People are who they are and they operate in a certain way. And I think it's most important, though, to learn about somebody's personality style and how they act as their personality, meaning some people are quiet and analytical and more reserved and they don't say a lot, but when they do say something, it's very profound. And some people are a lot more emotive and emotional and can kind of go, and all of them have strengths, but you need to know what's a good fit for your personality. And so I think it's really important to know yourself and know what you're compatible with, and then look to hire for character and in personality fits before you look to hire skills. Because honestly, I've found that you can train just about anybody to do just about anything. If you are a good trainer and you can teach them exactly what you want, the personality fits and the character of those people and what you value as a company is way more important than skills. Skills can literally be trained.
It reminds me, actually, when you're talking about how scared you were, the first time I hired someone, I was terrified. And I created this whole job description. I interviewed probably 10 or 11 people, found this fit I thought was great. She ghosted me after like a month. So then I was like, okay, I will go back to the drawing board. And I picked someone else that I had interviewed that I liked. And after a month, she was like, I went back to my full-time job. Also, this is a lot of work. You should probably update how much work it really is. But for me, I'd been doing it for so long. I didn't think it was that much work. I just thought it was like, well, once you get it down, it's easy. Anyway, I ended up with the third person who's been with me for years now, and I'm very thankful for him. But it was like one of those processes like where I wanted to give up, where I was like, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm not able to be a good manager. Maybe this is too hard for people. Maybe it's too much work and all this stuff. But then I just kept plugging away at it. And now again, I've had this person with me for years and I love him. And he's the most, I feel like almost underrated tool on my team I don't want to say tool, but underrated person on my team because I don't even have to think about him. He's so good at what he does, right?
Yeah.
It's
that's like my my executive director is like that as well. I tell her all the time, like, we got a unicorn with her. She definitely has the jack of all trades kind of a skill set, but she's also I'll get it done. I will Google it. I will figure it out. She's an excellent problem solver, which I really appreciate it in the beginning. I want someone to not come to me with I'm not a micromanager. I don't want to be. I'm more of a, here's your duties and responsibilities. I expect you to just take care of them. And if you need something big, come to me. Otherwise, like, I trust you to handle that. And so, asking some of those questions in the beginning, I think, of the interview process really helped me to determine, like, asking about how they solve problems, or if there's conflict with other people, how their communication style, do they under communicate, do they over communicate? Those are really, really important things to kind of get someone. And like you said, you don't always get your unicorn on the first one. Sometimes you have to hire and fire, and people ghost you, and then finding out maybe, like you said, it wasn't that you were a bad leader. It was just maybe there was a miscommunication, or maybe someone was just so quiet and timid and they were scared to ask questions and they were overwhelmed and they didn't know how to tell you. So those are things you can ask in an interview to say, when you're faced with something you don't know how to do, what do you do? And then have them kind of explain a time when they took matters into their own hands, or they would, if they say, I'm going to come to you for everything, next. No. That's at least my persona anyway. It's like, no, we're all a team. So
I'm the same. I expect, like, once I give you something, like, I'm not going to think about it anymore. It's out of my mind. And then maybe I might think of it, like, usually after the deadline's passed, I'm like, wait a minute, they didn't get that to me, but that's rare. It's rare. All right, let's kind of go into segue into talking about reaching 7 figures in your business. How long did it take you to reach that 7-figure point?
Well, I guess if it was 2003, well, from Amazon, I guess that was really when it counts. It wasn't in my eBay store. So 2008 to 2017. So that's just full transparency. Yeah. And that involves both the foreclosure that happened on our home and the shady partner that stole all of our money. So I would say, I guess 2014 to 2017 is the reality of when we went from 0 to then, because that's when we started over. So I would say it took about 3 years, but at that 3-year point, we had already had all of this back knowledge. We just had to start over financially because of the embezzlement of the bad partner. So
I was going to say, I think you should keep that 2008 because those are learning experiences and things you had to go through. And I think it's important for our listeners to understand that you can hit rock bottom. Absolutely. And you can still sail over to the top again, whatever the top is for you. And I think this is, again, important to stress those 2 situations that you were able to bounce back from and you didn't give up. That, like, I mean, I don't know if anyone gives you credit for that, but you should give credit to yourself for that because that's pretty amazing. Because in the moment, it may not have felt like that.
It for sure didn't. I mean, in my book, I describe like this what I call the ugly cry. There's like a whole chapter about it. And it talks about that when I'm sitting there as the last day we moved out of this foreclosed house, the house that I thought for sure that I was going to raise my kids in for the rest of their lives, and they were going to bring their grandchildren back to the pool and everything else, and it was going to be great. And that just wasn't the story. And I remember sitting there as like there's crayon marks from where the couch was, and like things are like when you move out and there's just like all the remnants of like whatever. And I remember sitting there with a box of tissue, just ugly crying, like mascara down your whole face, snot, everything, just be like, I can't believe this is my life and everything is gone. And like it was a horrible moment. But then I remembered even like leaving that house going, nowhere to go up from here, can't really get worse, and just thinking, I still want what I want, even though all of this is shattering around me. My goals and my aspirations and my vision of the life that I really wanted to raise my children in and with my husband, it didn't end there. And I knew it didn't end there. I didn't know necessarily how we were going to pick up all these pieces, but I still had that hope inside of me because I'm like, I'm not dead. So that's one of the things I would say is like, did you die? Like, no, that really, really sucked. It did. But we didn't die, and we still had our goals and our aspirations. We're like, okay, I guess we just start over, and you start where you are, use what you have. And I really feel like that's something I've always lived by.
So your book, in case anyone is interested, is called Dream Big and Step Small, and I'm sure it's available on Amazon.
It certainly is.
And I appreciate you sharing that story and saying like you can only go up because oh God, so true. And it's so hard to see that in the moment. It's so hard because we've all had those dark moments where you've been like, how is this ever going to get better? But you, like you said, you knew what you wanted and you kept at it. And so I really admire you for that. It's amazing and seeing where you are now. So was it a goal to always hit 7 figures or did it just kind of come organically as you were growing?
It was for sure organic. To be honest, that's why I say dream big. It's because I always struggled to dream big. I just dreamed about tomorrow. I was looking to make the next $50 to pay for groceries. I was never looking for $1 million mark. As a matter of fact, looking back, I never dreamed about that because honestly, I never thought it was possible for myself. I didn't even think about it. Not that I didn't deserve it in some sort of way. It was just like, that's not what I was after. I was just like, I just want to make sure I can put tires on my car without using a credit card. And I want my kids to have what they need. They don't need all the latest, greatest everything, but I wanted them to have what they need. I didn't want to worry about basic things like losing my house or I'm a type 1 diabetic. And there was a time in our lives I couldn't afford my medicine and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I just was looking more of like, I want to stable income that I can be responsible for. I'm a responsible person, and I think that really helps me a little bit just to be like, I don't know. I wasn't able to really work for anyone else very well. I mean, I take direction well, things like that, but it was just like, I always just wanted more, not necessarily more money, but just more freedom to be like, well, if I can do better, I want to do better. How do I get better? How do I learn better? How do I keep moving forward to get things that I really want or want to provide for my children or even myself, time off sometimes. And so I've just always been, one of my favorite, I know you mentioned this is like it's probably coming up. I don't want to like steal your thunder of your question about your mantra or a quote or something that kind of defines you. And failure is better than regret is something that I always said. It's just like, I am okay with failing and making mistakes and be embarrassing myself because you can't change what's not out there. You can't sell what's not for sale. You can't put, if you don't put yourself out there or put something out there and then didn't figure out what went wrong. So I would much rather have failure than regret. The coulda, woulda, shoulda. I just can't live like that. I have to be like, I have to try it and see. And if it's a failure, oh well, but if it is, then keep moving if it does well for you.
Me too.
Mhm.
So and that drives me every day to sometimes I think it can be a little unhealthy for me because sometimes I work too much, but
Amen.
there's
I feel
just
you.
there's a part of me that's always like, but what if I'm on my deathbed and I haven't done this? Uh-oh. It's like this whole freak out. Like I better get back to work right now. It's like, yeah. I've totally been there. And you know what? I coach women from leaving their corporate roles and becoming online business owners and taking the skills that they have and the services that they know and how can you translate that and make an online business. And I often hear it's like, and I tell them too, it's the little things, right? You like you were saying, like, I just want to like put a tire on my car, fill up my tire when I need to, or get them my medicine that needs to change my life. And it's like, those are the kind of things like I have women who are like, I just want to be able to walk my dog at lunch.
Mhm.
Like, is that too much to ask? I just want to be able to go to the beach randomly one day for like 3 hours if I want to, and not have to report to someone that I'm going here or doctor's appointments. That's another big one, like doctor's appointments. I don't want to have to, like, especially if you have health issues, to have to report to an employer all the time about your health issues could just be like so morally, just like draining emotionally. So I get it. I love those little things because I think that's a huge why that people don't think about. They're just like, no, I want freedom in my schedule. It's like, but that's too broad. Like, what is it that you want
Yes.
that freedom
I
for?
love how you mentioned the lady that wanted to just walk her dog at her lunch hour. I have to like, and this is another little quick story that I love about that. In 2023, because I tend to be like you, tend to be more of like, I love my work. I do very fulfilling work. And so I like to do it. I like doing what I'm doing. I feel like it's helped millions of people. Like, and I want to continue doing that. But at the same time, sometimes it's to my own detriment. Sometimes it's like it'll be 3 o'clock in the afternoon and my stomach is still growling from noon and I haven't gotten up and gotten something to eat and haven't moved my body and haven't. And so at the beginning of the year when I was making I don't make resolutions. I'm just like, what do I want this year? Like, I don't like resolutions. I'm like, what do I want to be different this year? One of the things I thought was, I want a lunch hour. I deserve a lunch hour. And I kind of put this in my head of like, my daughter who works somewhere else, like works for someone else. I'm like, do you ever like sit at your, stay and work while it's your lunch hour? She goes, heck no, I run errands. I go outside. I walk around. I have my lunch somewhere other than here. And I'm like, yeah, if I worked at a corporate place, I would not spend my lunch hour at my desk working extra for my boss. I would be like, no, this is my hour. And so since the beginning of this year, I have literally given myself a lunch hour every single working day, and my life has changed. I have gotten a lot more exercise. I do exercise, and that's more to free my mind, to breathe, to have a meal, to really nourish myself, whether it's listening to a podcast. Sometimes I take a nap, but I give myself that hour every day, because if I don't, I'll just work through it, and then I'm the only one suffering. And so I realized that if I was at a corporate office, I'm like, don't you work through your lunch hour, don't schedule appointments. My team knows, like, I don't work between this time. And sometimes I'm flexible about it. It's not like I work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday with a 12 to 1. That's not how it works. But like today, I haven't had my lunch hour yet. It's right after this interview. So those are the kinds of things I think, where's my lunch hour today? When am I going to take this time? And I have committed to it, and I'm telling you, it's been life changing.
Which again is funny, because when you're working a corporate job, it's like part of the norm. But I think people forget that sometimes when you're an entrepreneur, or you own your business, it can just be so easy just to work through that. Even when you're like, oh, it's on my calendar, I usually should. No. I'm just going to keep working because that's what I need to do. So I get it. I'm struggling right now because there's a question I want to ask, but I also want to ask about this business partnership. I think you decide. I want to ask you, what's your worst and best investment that you've made with your money? Maybe you can answer that quickly.
Well, the worst investment was really with that partner, without knowing.
Okay, then great. That's what I want to talk about that. So tell us if you can, if you're allowed to. I don't know if you have an NDA or anything like that, but tell us a little bit about what happened there. And so our audience can learn from this, see the flags, what happened, and how they can avoid it.
Well, I had a couple different partners over the years. I did have one. The partner I'm talking about was for my actual Amazon inventory product sales business. And someone saw my early success, and they were like, I would love to invest into this. And then I realized at that time, if I was going to accept this investment, which it wasn't the investor that was the embezzler, it was the partner that came along with that. It was actually a separate transaction. So I had this investor come to me. It was actually at a family event, and they said, I see your success, I'm looking to invest, I'm looking to this and that, like, I'm willing to give you X amount of dollars to help with your business, I see how well you're doing, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh my gosh, with that though, I would need some help. And some other people listening in were like, hey, we could help you. We can get into this. This sounds great, whatever. So they kind of saw the dollar signs and thought, oh yeah, well, with her knowledge and her money and this and that, we could all just make millions. And that could have been possible. But over time, the partner that kind of invested and was doing some of the numbers and the financials and the books and stuff, I just had complete trust in. And that was one of my own problems, is that I didn't have a strong checks and balances kind of teamwork effort there. It wasn't a stranger. It was someone that I really knew and trusted. And so that was part of it. I was blindsided by their I don't know, I'm trying to use the right words. There's no nice words to say, their dishonesty, I guess. And so, but we broke ties with that. The red flags really are not to rush in, to make sure everyone comes to the table with skin in the game. I think is really important. These people kind of came in with my skin in the game and just kind of wanted to jump on the bandwagon. So if someone wants to come in and be a partner, make sure that they're bringing equal skills and equal financial commitment, equal time to the table. Whether they're in accounting and you're in, the creative mode is a little bit different. You don't have to have the same skills, but always thinking about that, always have contracts and always have checks and balances. Even with people you really trust, it's really better to just be transparent. Make sure everybody knows what everybody is doing so that we all understand how it's working. So that's kind of the biggest lessons, is that I had too much trust, too much early in the beginning. And as the money was being made, it was also being filtered out, and didn't really realize that for long enough to where it was like, oh, by the way, it's all gone and we're leaving. And we also had this big debt to pay the investor. And so, obviously it worked out really well. My biggest thing at that point was like, these are people close enough to us. We didn't want to go through legal prosecution. We made a very viable agreement that was best for me, which was, if you leave and you walk away and you don't go, basically sign this, that you'll never copy us, you'll never do this and that, like, I will take care of it from there. I just want you guys to leave and never come back and never deal with me or my business again. And so that was kind of an amiable resolution that we came there. I just wanted to start over with what I knew and wanted that monkey off my back. So I don't have to answer to you. I felt like I was more answering to people at that time. And then my mom is my new business partner. She was basically my partner since 2014, since that other shady partner situation. And together, her and I have built up to 7 figures plus. So
Nice. I like a happy ending. Or it's still happy.
It's ongoing saga.
Journey in progress. Yes, it's still a journey. It's still a journey. We're not at the end yet. And I really like that. And for our audience, if you are interested in business partnerships and learning more about them, there's some great advice in the interview I did with Lindsay Slaby and with Meg Carpenters. Those are two people who also had business partnerships that went south. That didn't work out that great. But so where do you see your business going in the next 5 years?
Well, as of this past year, the Amazon side of the store, we've actually reduced a lot more. My mom is heading into more of a retirement age in the next coming years, and so we're looking at reducing that significantly, just because we have a well-oiled machine, we have what we want and need, and our intentions are to sell our Amazon business once my mom says, okay, I think I'm ready for retirement. We've set that all up for an exit strategy for us to sell our brand and our store when we're doing that. And my next venture is I'm actually going to be teaching people with expertise, women business owners specifically, or men, it doesn't really matter, those that want to create online courses. I find myself to be an expert at creating online courses now. I've done many of them. I've actually structured curriculum and design project management for someone else who's been doing courses. And so now my next course is going to be teaching people to create courses.
Oh, I love that. You're branching out everywhere, but you're still going to keep you're teaching people how to do Amazon fulfillment, right?
Yes.
Fulfillment
I'm still going to keep my people there and keep them up to speed on that. We're just reducing our store to more of something that we want to manage. At this point, it's just about how do we want to spend our time, and I want to spend my time doing very minimal on the Amazon product stuff because I'm now creating products for my customers as well. And so the ideas that I have for products and product development have been so valued by my clients that they've said, please help us with product development and creating these bundles. And so now I'm actually selling the done for you bundles, which my clients are loving. And so I'm continued teaching and training and bringing all the ideas to the table for Amazon and e-commerce. I just have a special heart for e-commerce, but I realize that people wanting to turn their expertise into, I see a lot of coaches who do a lot of one-to-ones, and they're creating their own ceiling for themselves because you can only serve so many one-to-one clients before you're pricing yourself out or you're burning yourself out. But an online course, even a beginner course that can answer 90% of your clients' questions with a training before you get to the one-on-ones, really can save you time, save them money, and it's actually just a lot more passive.
Awesome. I love it. So please give us some advice for women as they're trying to grow their business, possibly hit 7 figures. What do you have to say to them?
Consistency is so important. You don't have to be everywhere, but wherever you are, be there consistently. Know thine audience and follow them wherever they're hanging out. You don't have to be on TikTok if you're not serving people who are not on TikTok. If you're serving a certain demographic, know where they're most likely to be and speak directly to them. Be yourself and be consistent.
I like that. Know your audience and where they are too. I think people this is usually for people starting a business. They tend to want to go everywhere at once, and it's just not what it's, So you already shared with us a philosophy mantra or quote, but let's just do it one more time to close it out. This mantra that you run your business by.
Failure is better than regret.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for joining this interview, Kristin. Really appreciate it. And for our audience, if you're listening to this show and you found it informative, you found it valuable, do us a little favor and help us grow the podcast by sharing it. And Kristin will thank you too, because she has tons of great advice and you help spread her advice and her knowledge to other people who might be also looking to do Amazon fulfillment by Amazon. I still struggle over that. FBA. I still can't. I always go Amazon fulfillment instead of fulfillment by Amazon.
Yeah, just say FBA. It's the easiest way.
FBA. So until next time, you can find me on LinkedIn and you can tag me on Instagram. And Kristin, why don't you share with us a little bit where we can find you for our audience? We'll put it in our show notes too.
For sure. So I'm at Mommy Income. Just about every social handle out there is at Mommy Income, and the website is mommyincome.com. And the podcast is the Amazon Files podcast. We do weekly shows. It's not just about Amazon. I do a lot of motivational type of stuff. I'm a tough love person, so don't be. I won't offend you, but I'm gonna hug and a slug. That's kind of what I call it. So come listen to the Amazon Files podcast and find me everywhere at Mommy Income.
Great. I love it. Thank you so much, Kristin, and really appreciate your time and sharing your knowledge today.
Thank you. It's been such a privilege.